Welcome to Flex with Purpose, the podcast that explores what it means to move toward our highest potential, not for personal gain or applause, but to strengthen others and make the world a better place. I'm your host, Schalee Sanchez. I'm so excited that you are with us tonight. Every episode is a conversation with someone who is living boldly, leading authentically, and allowing humility to guide their impact. Tonight, I have the privilege of sitting beside an absolutely incredible man who has each of these qualities lived out in his daily life. I'm very thankful that he is with us. I'm sure that you're going to be inspired by what he has to share with us. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Schalee. I'm really excited to be here tonight. Thank you for the invitation.
I know that this has already been a long day for you, and you've had lots of interactions with a wide variety of people. And so coming in here tonight, it hopefully will be a moment that you can relax, breathe. That's what this conversation is for, a moment for us to pause and reflect on the important things of life.
Yeah, no, I really love the opportunity because it was a day of going 100 different directions all day long, a lot of different kind of interactions with folks. But now we can come here and just kind of calm down a little bit in this beautiful environment. What a great space to do the podcast. Really exciting.
Well, there are a lot of different hats that you wear, I know, and would love for you to share about some of those. So why don't you start out with some of the things that were a part of your day today and what that involved?
Yeah, so some of the different hats that I wear, my day started out today going to a North Dallas Chamber event where I was wearing my mayor hat, where I'm the mayor of Addison, Texas, as you know. And I've been the mayor for coming up on 3 years. And so that started out the day. And then the afternoon went to my real estate hat because I'm a real estate broker. I've been in the real estate business for 33 years, serving my clients. And so that was really the bulk of today. And then my other hat is that I wear in a professional world is in the training and development space. So I've been doing that for about 16 years or so, that I got into that working with folks really around soft skills training, communication skills, personality styles, conflict, presentation skills, things like that. So I juggle my hats, and some days I'm doing all three different things, and sometimes somebody will throw an additional hat into the ring. It's like, all right, I'll try that one on too. Why not?
Well, it's good to be flexible.
It is.
And have a focus of what we're going to be doing throughout the day, but then also allow unexpected surprises to bring in new opportunities.
Exactly. You got to be ready to shift at whatever moment to whatever direction the day brings you.
That's part of being a good leader, is being able to pivot.
Yes.
When it's necessary, even though you have a direction that you're going in, recognize there might need to be a shift or a change. And that can sometimes be hard, though.
Yes.
How have you grown in the ability to be more flexible? How has that kind of evolved for you over the years?
Yeah, I've always said that my schedule, because I've been self-employed for a very long time, and which is good, and sometimes it can be challenging because I tend to work a little bit too much sometimes because I can and I want to do all that I can. But I've always said that my pencil is a lot of times my schedule is a lot of times is in pencil, so I have to make those changes as I go. And when I look at my calendar, I color code my calendar so I can look at it and see what are the things that I cannot cancel. What are the things that maybe have some flexibility to, and some things that are personal, they have their own color. My personal activities, which honestly those tend to be very few on my calendar sometimes because I'm doing so much work stuff. But that's kind of what you sign up for. Right. Yeah.
Well, Bruce, one of the things that really impacted me the first time that I had an opportunity to interact with you about 4 weeks ago, we were at the Addison Rotary Club, and you came to share with our group about the things that are happening in Addison. And I was really impressed when you said that you're not a politician. You are in the position of leadership that you have in order to serve people. And I think that as you were talking about that your calendar, you use a pencil, that reflects to me the aspects that you highlighted so well in the 30-minute presentation that I got to listen to that day of how important people are to you. That this isn't a job that has to be strictly followed in this firm and hard set concrete fashion, that you are a human that understands and has empathy for the people that you're serving, that you lead wanting the people that you're leading to have the most benefit possible. And so in a way, that attitude of being willing to use a pencil rather than a pen, I think reflects the value that you give other people that are a part of the journey with you. So what does that look like for you?
Well, yeah, I think you really hit on it, on the point of my purpose and the way I see what our role is. I believe that we're all here to be in service to other people, and to look for opportunities to do that. And it's different for everybody how we're going to serve. You know, for me, it's in my business, and it's in my service to the town of Addison, and to be available and to help others along their path. And that's when I got into the training and development space, I found that I really liked doing that work. I really love doing that work because it gives me an opportunity to help others along their journey. Great. Because we all have different paths that we're going on, different ways that we got to the same space that we're in today. But how can I give to somebody else? Because by giving, we know we receive. There's no selfless giving.
Right.
We get the benefit whenever we give to other folks, and so when I can help somebody else, I get at least as much as I'm giving. So I love the opportunity to give to others, and it goes back to the whole servant leadership. Yep. And I think that's so important, is to look for ways to grow and develop other people, and look for those opportunities to help them along their way.
Someone like you, who reflects so well that attitude of servant leadership, makes the world a better place and brings such an incredible light into our communities. There are leaders, though, who want to be in their position because of a hunger for power, and they want to be able to dominate and control. So for you to say, this is what I do because I want to be able to help others, what has influenced you to become that kind of person? Have there been specific people in your life, or a book that you read, or what have been the influences that have really brought you to that place?
Well, a couple of things. I think about the example that we all set for other people, that we become unwilling and unknowing mentors to a lot of people that we never meet.
Right.
Because people are always watching us. They're watching our actions. They're listening to the things we say, and then they're looking for congruence. Is what they're saying and what they're doing, does it really fit with who they say they are? Not always the case. Right. And I try to be as congruent as I can be. I want to make sure that who I am is reflected by my actions and by my words. And so I think I go back to years ago when I first started really getting interested in personal development.
Okay.
And I started reading some books. And the one that I always go back to is probably the one that was most impactful, that really got me interested in the personal development space, was Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with Wayne Dyer.
I'm not. I'm excited to hear about another good author.
We have to refer to him as the late Wayne Dyer now. He passed away a few years ago. But he wrote so many books and gave so many really amazing talks, really about looking inward and spirituality, not religiosity, but spirituality.
Okay.
And changing the way you think, and by changing the way you think, it changes things and changes you and changes your brain. And so that kind of took me down a path of looking into other thought leaders like that.
Right.
And how do we change who we are inwardly? Because all change comes from within.
Absolutely.
And not without.
Absolutely.
And so that really took me down that path. And so now I can't get enough. So I'm a committed lifelong learner. I read as much as I can. I don't have nearly as much time to read as I used to, but audiobooks, I always have audiobooks going, podcasts going. I was listening to one of your podcast episodes today, as a matter of
Okay.
fact. Yeah.
Okay.
And I love all that because I can learn so much from other people. And that's one thing that as I've gotten older, I really become to appreciate what I can learn from other folks, because I can learn something from everybody. And the more I get to know people that are different than I am, the more I appreciate them and the value that they bring, because they've taken a very different path than I have. And when I can tap into that and learn about their story and their history, I learn from that.
I would love for you to repeat that again, just so that our viewers can hear that one more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which part?
The part about having an openness to learn from others, that you have that perspective of being able to learn from everyone.
Yeah. There's nobody that I ever meet that I can't learn from, because they've taken a different path to get to the same place. And I'm always amazed when I'm in a group of people in a room, and I'll tell, when I'm speaking to a group, I'll tell them so many times, it's kind of a miracle that we're all in here right now, because we came from so many different places,
Right.
and all these different paths that came here.
Yes.
And what can I learn from the path that you've taken to get here?
Right.
Because it's very different than mine. And the more different you are from me, honestly, the more interesting you are to me, because I just know that you have a story to tell. And I think, I know that we all have a story to tell. And I truly believe that the world needs to hear our story. And we need to have the opportunities.
I agree 100%, which is why I'm so appreciative that you were willing to come and share your story with our viewers and give them opportunity to learn from you.
Of course.
But that is absolutely a key for us to continue growing, because in a position where you have had a successful career for 3 decades and been able to coach others, I think it's so valuable when someone like you, who has the experience and a successful career and has been in leadership and had these roles, had opportunity to learn, and is still willing to learn from anyone that you interact with. That is an incredible posture of humility, and something that I think all of us benefit from, having a desire to listen to other people and understanding that they have something that we don't, that they are able to contribute in a way that we never will be able to. And so that's part of what brings us together and gives us, as humanity, just real rich community where we're able to share our stories with each other and have that willingness to, even in situations where someone else may not have an expertise or might be younger than us or might have a very different background from us, but we can say, you know what, this is an opportunity. Something that you already mentioned, and I'm going to just go back a little bit in our conversation, is that when we have that willingness to engage in a way and give to someone else, we end up receiving an abundance back.
So much.
And that's a mindset where we really do get to experience that genuine desire of connection happening, where we give and then it's reciprocated, and it just builds up into this beautiful experience together.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that reciprocity, which is that human, it's a natural human thing that we do.
Right.
Is when we get something, then we want to give that back. And so you just don't know what the impact is from that act of kindness, like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
How will that flow out to the world. And it will.
Exactly.
Because it will spread, and you just don't know what the ripple effect is of those of the actions that we take, whether they're positive or negative. The ripple effect is gigantic, and we just have to be aware of that. And having that awareness is so important. But yeah, those lessons that other people have learned along the way, I can learn from them, so I don't have to learn those lessons. And there's so much value in that.
You mentioned a ripple effect, and I like thinking about skipping a rock across a lake and how those ripples just continue and continue and continue.
Yes.
And as we were talking earlier before the recording started about, they can be really small, seemingly insignificant gestures, smiling at someone, opening the door for someone, and it can completely shift someone's day. It can completely give them a new perspective on what's happening in their life and of their value. Would you just allow us an opportunity to listen a little bit to how that has been a part of your life? Having those small gestures, either receiving from someone else or giving those to someone else.
Yeah, I don't know if I have specific examples, but I know that for me, when I'm out and about, I look for those opportunities to engage with anybody, and which is not my nature from when I was young.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was in my youth, we'll call it my 20s, I was not that guy. I was not that guy that wanted to engage with other people. I've always been a nice guy, friendly guy, but I never cared enough.
Okay.
Honestly, to try to impact other people in a positive way. I would never say that I was arrogant, but I was, we'll call it young and dumb.
Okay.
Maybe just ignorant is a good word.
Okay.
But I didn't really realize. I really thought that I kind of had it all together back then. In my 20s, I had it all figured out. I knew I had all the answers. And it's been amazing to me over the last few decades, now that I'm well past my 20s, that the older I get, the less I actually know. And so that opens me up to finding those people that I can engage with and learning from them, talking to them, but then also looking for ways that I can impact them in a positive way. And again, it doesn't take much, because most of us, we're going through this world on a daily basis, and we're just kind of cellophane. We're invisible to the world. So many of us, we go through our day, we think, well, what does this person think about me? What do they think about me? As if it really matters, which it doesn't. And the truth of the matter is, they're not thinking about you that much. Right. They have their own world going on. But we get all swept up and so concerned about whatever everybody thinks about us. But why not just go and be our authentic, genuine self, and sometimes put yourself out there. And sometimes when you do that, you might feel a little bit silly when it happens.
Right.
But then you end up, the sillier it is, they actually end up with a better story at the end of it anyway, and a greater experience
I totally
for both.
Agree. Yeah. I am curious to know if you've ever read the book, The Go-Giver.
It's on my list, on my Audible.
Okay.
It's on my list to get.
Last year it was recommended to me.
Okay.
And so I went to the library, picked up a copy. It's real quick and easy to read, but such a fabulous book. And one of the things that stood out to me in that book is that you need to be okay with looking foolish.
Yes.
And that's basically what you're saying, right? Is some of those interactions, some of those moments that become just magical moments are moments when we might feel a little foolish, but end up seeing such an incredible opportunity come out of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, going back to Wayne Dyer again,
Okay.
and you do want to look at some of his books, is one of the things that he said early on in one of his books that really stuck with me was, stop taking yourself so seriously.
Okay.
Have some fun, enjoy life, just be your authentic self. And if you stumble and fall and look a little goofy along the way, that's all good.
Right.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But just be who you are. Be your natural, authentic self. Be okay with being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there a little bit. And the vulnerability we know is a little scary for a lot of folks. And I know that's a kind of a hot topic these days, being vulnerable. And I believe in that, even though it's a little scary.
It can be scary to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And so let's talk about and dialogue a little bit about that in regards to how we overcome that fear of being vulnerable with people.
Yeah, I think I learned probably most about that in the last few years from Brene Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with Brene.
Yes.
And I follow a lot of her stuff, listen to her podcast and her books and things. And she talks, of course, a lot about vulnerability.
Right. And
the way that we look at vulnerability is interesting. When we think about being vulnerable ourselves, and the fact that, well, why would I want to be vulnerable? Because then I'm putting myself out there, and people will think I'm weak.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think it was probably Brene that phrased it this way, where when we look at ourselves and we think, well, I'm weak if I'm vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we witness somebody else being vulnerable, we say, wow, how courageous are they?
Right.
So it's courageous for them, but it's weak if I do it.
Yeah.
There's a little something mixed up in the way we're thinking about that.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's not easy. But whether you're one-on-one or one with a group, and you put it out there like that and be a little vulnerable, the connection is incredible. And it takes you to a whole deeper level in that relationship. And I know from my own personal experience in personal relationships, I was married once in my youth, and that didn't last very long. And I've never remarried since then. Thought I would, but it didn't happen. And that was the thing that I struggled with early on, was really opening myself up to who I really am, and being vulnerable, and being willing to share my fears,
right,
and those apprehensions, because you want to have you want to have all the answers. You want to be, well, I'm the man. I can fix everything, and which was the problem with the whole first marriage.
Yes.
And those red flags I couldn't fix.
Mm-hmm.
But being vulnerable and being willing to put it out there, I find it very attractive in people, mm-hmm. when they're willing to do that.
Yes.
I didn't realize that for a long time.
But you had a willingness to change, and just in the little bit that you've been sharing, I can see this progression of becoming more caring has made you more willing to engage with people. Being willing to be more vulnerable has deepened those connections. So your life just keeps getting richer as you mm-hmm. continue on this journey of wanting to learn and grow, listening to other people and what they have to share. I think that there is a lot of value in us being willing to say that we failed, say that we're afraid, say that we've made mistakes, because other people are experiencing that, mm-hmm. and at times feel like they're the only ones.
Yes.
And when we have a moment and share something in our story that's vulnerable, it gives someone else an opportunity to say, oh, wow, if they went through that, if they were in that place and now they're in this place, there's hope for me.
And they're not alone anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because people, when they're in that space, they do feel very alone. And they don't think, sometimes they get to the state of overwhelm where they just don't think that they can handle it anymore, because they're the only one experiencing it, because everybody's living this social media life where they put all the beautiful stuff out on social media, which is false. It's not real life.
Yes.
But then they put it out there, and people think, well, everybody's living a better life than me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when we're willing to say, I've been through this struggle. I've dealt with this. I've had a marriage that didn't work. That connects with me. I'm divorced, and that's a part of my story. And so when other people that I talk with realize, oh, okay, that is something that I don't have to be afraid of anymore. I'm not the only one that has experienced that. Then we can, in a very real way, provide a true hope, not a false hope of, no, your life's going to get better. I'm sure, it'll be fine. And we just kind of sugarcoat everything and make it sound good. But a genuine, I've been there. I know what it feels like. I know the loneliness. I know the isolation. I know the heartbreak. I know what it's like to feel like you completely failed at your marriage, and then find a way to move forward from that and after that and start a new chapter.
Yeah, and being able to show true empathy with people is so valuable, and it's a skill. It can be a gift. I think some people are naturally empathic, but a lot of people aren't. But you can learn that. It is a skill that you can learn empathy and get better at it, and look for ways to be in service to those around us. And when people see those things that you've gone through, whether it's a marriage situation or a financial situation, and I know what it's like to have my utilities cut off or the water or whatever, all those things, and people say, oh, so you did that, but now you're here, and it's not like here is everything's fixed.
Right.
We all still have stuff that we're dealing with and trying to figure out along the way. We're all a work in progress.
Yes.
Till the last day.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's still challenges that we face and obstacles that we have to overcome.
Yes.
But part of that is that as we're willing to share with each other, we find that encouragement from one another, that we can keep going in those moments.
Exactly.
But one of the things that you mentioned earlier is how when we're in our early 20s, I think a lot of us experience that, I know it all. I know what my life's going to look like. And then there's a lot of aspects of our life that are completely different than what we expected or imagined or envisioned. And we do have opportunity to continue learning and growing. It is a beautiful thing, really. And I actually got to see a video of an 89-year-old woman, which I know you're not there yet. I'm not either.
Not even close. But
and hearing her talk about how the most beautiful chapters of her life have come later. And they haven't been void of grief and loss. Her spouse died, and she's gone through different challenging situations, but she's in a place where she's still enjoying life and enjoying each day that she gets to live and looking forward to celebrating her next birthday. And it really encouraged me to see someone at that stage of their life still eager to learn and wanting to do new things, wanting to build new relationships and have opportunity to really give to other people and share what she is able to offer in terms of giving people hope.
Yeah, and isn't that a choice we make every day, though?
Right.
We choose every day how we're going to approach it. I choose to be happy. I choose to be positive. I choose to look for opportunities to learn and grow and be something more than what I am, what I was yesterday. It's a choice. Or we can choose to, I'm 89 years old. What else do I have to do? I don't have anything to live for. My life, I don't have that many days in front of me. It's all up here, however you approach that day, and make the best of it. And we've all heard that forever, of course. But I see so many people that they get to a stage in their life and they've chosen, it appears they've chosen to be unhappy and miserable and sad, and instead of looking for ways to bring joy to their life and to spread joy to others.
Right. I agree completely with what you're talking about, because like you mentioned earlier, we definitely can say, this was where I was at and now I'm here, and see often a stark contrast. But because we're here, it doesn't mean that our lives are void of challenges and struggles. And we still have a choice of going through the day complaining about the things that go wrong, and when we have to do repairs on our car, or we have to deal with different troubleshooting aspects of technology, or we have issues that come up and problems that have to be resolved. All of those things are still a part of life.
Yes.
And the challenges look different, but it still is our choice about if we're going to look for the good. I think Abraham Lincoln was quoted for saying that when you look for the good, you will find it.
Yes.
And I know that we can go through our day looking for opportunities, like you said, to share joy, to share hope, to be an encourager, to give someone a genuine compliment, to smile at someone. And when we do that, then that just multiplies over and over.
And it costs you nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
No,
That's
yeah.
the best. I mean, what better way to go through a day living out a wealth of just having a life that is rich.
Yeah, because we all have exactly the same amount of time in a day, and how you choose to live that day is up to you. And it is about your mindset. And a practice that I started a few years ago now, I don't remember how long ago it's been, that every morning when I get up, when I swing my feet onto the floor, as my feet touch the floor, I say out loud, it's going to be a great day. Then I repeat it, it's going to be a great day. And my dog looks at me and says, "Okay, Dad, I know it's going to be a great day." But it is. But that's my choice.
It is.
I've already decided it's going to be a great day, even though there might be a lot of things coming up that might not be fun.
Right.
But even the challenging things, I'm going to learn from it.
Yes.
I'm going to develop my skills. I'm going to be able to work on my people skills, my communication skills. And at the end of the day, I like to give myself a debrief. Not even at the end of the day. A lot of times, just at the end of a conversation with somebody, I'll give myself a debrief and ask myself, "Well, how'd that go? Yeah. What did I do well?" I'm not going to beat myself up first. I might beat myself up a little bit, but the first thing, well, what did I do well in that interaction? And then what can I do better next time? Because there's always room. Because I was telling you earlier about the little conversation I had with somebody at the end of the day today, which was not my favorite conversation. And I've given myself a little debrief after that, and I will do better next time. But it's not easy always. But that's the thing. It's something that we can continue to work on and get better. Human interaction is hard. When the emotions,
yes, it is.
When the emotions get involved, oh my goodness, it's hard to. But there's a quote that's attributed to Viktor Frankl. Are you familiar with Frankl?
I'm not. No.
So Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
He wrote a book which is excellent called "Man's Search for Meaning."
Okay.
Highly recommend it. It tells his stories about going through the camps and everything. He was a psychiatrist. And then he did all the great work after that. But there's a quote that's attributed to him, and it talks about the space. And it goes, and I usually mess it up a little bit, but between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So it's the space. So when something happens to us, the stimulus, we get to choose. I can react reflexively. However, my human nature wants me to act and to react. Or I can pause, give it some space, and then respond. So I tell people all the time, when somebody might ask me how my day's going, I say, I'm really working on the space today because it's a challenge. But the more I can do that, then I can have a more collected, intelligent response instead of just an emotional reaction. And that's something that I work on every day.
That is extremely important, Bruce. And I know that right there is going to be so valuable for the people that get to listen to and watch this, learning that. And like you said, it's something that's practiced. And when we're stimulated, taking a moment to pause.
Yes.
And then responding thoughtfully rather than reacting
Yes.
in the moment can have a completely different result. And the outcome can be so distinctly different.
Absolutely.
Just by that brief moment. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute
Correct.
space of time where we're analyzing and thinking, okay, what do I need to say here? But it can just be a very brief space that we allow ourselves to just step back a little bit, give ourselves a moment to breathe, remembering that we don't have to take it personally.
Yes.
It's not an attack on us.
Yeah.
And then have a much more grounded response in the situation.
Let that lizard brain settle down a little bit and let your thinking brain come forward.
Yes.
Not easy. But it doesn't take a lot of time. But sometimes it might take a little time. Sometimes that space might require you to leave the room for a little bit. But usually it doesn't.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that is true. There are situations that do require a little bit more of effort on our part.
Yes.
But it's so valuable to practice those kind of things like you were talking about.
Yeah.
That we might have, some of us, a little bit more natural tendency toward empathy, like you mentioned,
Definitely.
or towards responding calmly in situations or listening. But it's something that all of us absolutely can learn to do.
Definitely.
And it's a skill that we can continue growing in if we make the choice. And that's one of the things that, you've been talking about. And I really do notice that so much about the power that we have to make choices that will move us in a direction of deepening our relationships and increasing the positive impact that we can have.
Yeah, and looking for ways that we can really be willing to give the other person some grace and some dignity in our conversations that we have with people. Again, going back to my youth, when I knew everything, had all the answers, and the more I realize that I don't have all the answers, I find it very helpful to remember that when I'm having conversations with people, when I think I know the answer, and I know what I think I know, right. Doesn't mean it's always true or right. And the phrase that I find very helpful in a conversation with somebody when we're in a disagreement, and I really believe that I'm right. I'm confident that I am. However, what if I could say to you, I never thought about it that way. Tell me more about that. And then really with an honest and genuine open mind and heart, listen, not with the intent to prove how right I am, but to actually listen and try to understand. That's that whole listening to understand instead of to try to persuade you to my way of thinking.
You just gave some really good steps. These are just some nuggets right here that I want to make sure our viewers and listeners get to really engage with, because you talked about, first of all, being in a place of recognizing I'm not always right. I don't always know everything. And then being willing to say, I haven't ever thought about that like that. Haven't ever thought about it that way. But then taking it a step further and asking them to share. Will you please explain to me? Will you help me understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then to make sure that you actually do understand what they're telling you. And then when they get finished, because sometimes in our head we're already trying to think of our response before they finish, which is not truly listening. So we have to be better listeners, which is not easy, but that's another skill we can continue to work on, is our listening. But as I'm listening to you, and I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying, it's important for me to repeat back to you what I think I just heard you say. What I think I heard you say is this. Am I missing anything? That's one of my favorite expressions. Am I missing anything? Because usually I am. And so if I can ask you to clarify, fill in the gaps where I've missed, because I can listen to you and then my brain will go off and think of things and little mental vacations. So there's going to be gaps in there. So fill in those gaps and make sure that I've got the whole picture.
I think that what you just described is a great example of vulnerability, because we can be listening to someone share what we understood, but then say, am I missing anything? Opens me up to the possibility that I might not have heard everything that they said.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. Because we all take mental vacations.
Yes.
Because we can think faster than somebody's going to speak at us, to speak to us most of the time. And so we'll take those little mental vacations. And you can tell sometimes when you're talking to somebody that they're no longer with you.
Right.
And so then you have to try to get them back into the conversation somehow. So how do we do that? And so sometimes it takes something shocking to get them back into the conversation. But
to make sure that they're listening.
Exactly. So you can say something that's completely off the wall, and if it doesn't affect them whatsoever and they don't respond, like, you're not even here.
Yeah, just throw something out there.
No, I'm right here.
I think that is a key in our growth that you've already mentioned, being able to not take ourselves too seriously, being able to laugh in situations is something that enables us to continue on a journey that can at times feel extremely difficult. And we can get to a place where it just becomes overwhelming if we don't allow a little bit of humor to lighten us up.
Yeah. Have some fun. Have some fun with life, because life is too short to not have fun. Laugh a little bit. Let your guard down. Just be who you are. Be who you are in everything you're doing. Just be who you are. Because I think about the different hats that I wear, but underneath that hat, it's the same Bruce.
Exactly.
And I'm always going to show up as the same guy. You're not going to meet a different Bruce when he's got the mayor hat on or when he's got the real estate hat on. It's the same guy. Same guy that sometimes messes things up when he says things, and or he thinks he understands things that he doesn't understand. But he's always just going to be who he is, and he's going to be honest and genuine. He's going to care. He's going to truly empathize with you, because it's about the relationships. Everything that I've done in my career, in my personal life, I try to pour into the relationships. I don't always do a great job with it, but that's my intention, is to pour into the relationships, and that helps me in those interactions when you have those difficult conversations, which we're all going to have.
Yes.
And it's okay to have them, and they're required. But if your intention is to go into them for a positive outcome and to get to an understanding, I think you come at it from a better place then, where I'm not trying to fix you or prove you wrong or anything like that. I'm just trying to have an understanding and to get to a place, and so that we can have an honest conversation. And I'll tell people sometimes, like with my real estate clients, for instance, I'll tell them early on in the relationship, there's going to be a time that we're going to need to have a conversation that's difficult.
Yes.
That you're not going to really want to hear what I have to say. And that comes in every interaction, right?
Yes.
And then when it gets to that point, it's somewhere along that timeline, and I'll remind them. I say, remember the time I told you that we're going to have difficult conversations? This is one of those times. And that helps, because you've already lied to, you've already prefaced it. They know that it's coming at some point, and they know that I'm going to just be honest with them. And they don't always have to like what I'm going to say, and they don't always have to agree with it. but they know that I'm going to be honest and upfront about it. And I'm not afraid to have the conversation, just to tell them what I think they want to hear. Nobody wants that.
I think that you've just hit on something that maybe more people would benefit from embracing, in the sense that genuinely caring for people doesn't mean that you avoid having hard conversations. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that you avoid making difficult decisions. And you can pour into relationships also understanding that there's going to be moments in that relationship that are going to get a little bit intense. But with that understanding of this being something that we're going to work through together, then there's a trust that we can build in that relationship, which is what you intentionally do. You create that trust in advance so that when that moment comes, you both know what to expect and you're able to work together towards what the final result is going to be.
Yeah, and as long as we go into it knowing that we're going to have conversations, because in every relationship you have those, because you're going to have disagreements with everybody. Mm-hmm. I've never met anybody yet that I agree with 100% of the time, and I always want to be around those people that I disagree with, because I will learn from them, as long as we can all do it like adults. And the idea of thinking that I have all the answers, that I know everything. I'm rarely the smartest guy in the room, which is good. Because if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I need to find better people to hang out with. Because I'm not a dummy, but I I know what I don't know most of the time. But sometimes I don't know what I don't know. But surrounding yourself with people that you know that you can learn from and grow with, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are also in that same place. Because one thing that I've learned a long time ago is that I don't like to be around negative people, because they will bring you down. And yes. I can't stand it. So because you know who I'm talking about. You can probably think of people in your head right now that if you talk to them, within 30 seconds to a minute, they're going to complain about something really even minor, not a big deal, but they're going to make it a big deal. And man, oh man, life is too short to just whine and complain about everything that comes your way. It's called life. It happens. Laugh it up and move on. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to agree with you again, even though I'm not necessarily always going to agree with everything you say. But to that point, I know that there is really, it's such a different perspective when we choose whether we're going to complain or we're going to be grateful. And that can completely change what our day looks like. So for me, one of the valuable things you mentioned about waking up in the morning and saying it out loud, this is going to be a good day. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that has been helpful for me in being able to have that level of consciousness is, what am I grateful for today? What are the things that I can really express gratitude for, instead of complaining about this happened. I just have seen such an incredible impact internally, like you were talking about earlier, that really what we share in the world comes from who we are inside. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, it has made a drastic change in me instead of complaining about having to make repairs on my car or, take my car into the mechanic and wait for the car to be fixed, I get to have a vehicle. I get to have transportation.
Yeah.
I get to get in my car and drive where I want to be. And that's a gift. And continuing to see life through that lens of gratitude rather than, oh man, can't believe this happened. And now I have to do, now I have to rearrange all these things, and makes it just, so much more complicated. But having to take a lift might give me an opportunity to meet some incredible person and have a conversation that I never would have had, right?
Exactly. Well, we're all so blessed.
Right.
And we forget that too often, unfortunately. But yeah, that attitude of gratitude, so valuable, and looking for ways to really realize that what the life that we have is just so amazing,
Mm-hmm.
even with all of the challenges that we have and all that we have to put up with our first world problems.
Right.
It's a pretty good life. I try not to complain. I'm not saying I don't complain. I try not to.
Well, I've really enjoyed, this conversation. I would be totally fine with continuing on for another hour or so.
Oh, I can talk about this stuff all day long.
But we are going to wrap it up. So I want to ask you what your last thoughts would be to share with someone that they're wanting to grow, someone that has a desire to genuinely care for others, to use their strengths and their skills in a way where they can lead and contribute and create value for their families, their communities. What would be something that you want to leave them with out of this conversation?
I think for me, it's looking for ways to change our habits, because we do so much by habit. Throughout our whole day, most of what we do is by habit. It's muscle memory, things that we do. We don't drive our car thinking about all the things we have to do.
Yeah.
But also, what we do by habit so much is our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see all over the internet how many thoughts we have in a day. 60,000 seems to be a pretty common number out there. What is a thought? I don't even know what a thought is, but there's a whole lot of them that go on out there. But our thoughts are habits too. And how do we think about them? And when we can look at what we're thinking, when I look at somebody, and instead of making those snap judgments like we do, it's normal and natural and human for us to make judgments about people within just a few seconds.
Ooh.
And gosh, I want to say that I'm not judgmental, but we are.
Oh man.
But
yeah.
how can I change that habit? Because that is just habitual thinking.
Yeah.
Instead of judging them because of, I don't like his shoes, he's too short, too tall, whatever the thing is that I'm judging about them.
Mm-hmm.
Change that to what I need to know about this person.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what their story is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you get curious about people's stories and the paths that they've been on, you will automatically be drawn to them and look for ways to be of service to them. Mm-hmm. And that really is, and that goes back to quote Wayne Dyer again, instead of what's in it for me, how may I serve? And look for ways to serve other people. And they'll benefit from it, you'll benefit from it. And if, I know it sounds kind of Pollyanna, but if the world would start to think more like that, instead of what's in it for me, how may I serve, we'd be in a whole lot better place.
That is absolutely the perfect way to end this conversation, Bruce. Really, that highlights exactly what these episodes are intended for, and it states it so well. And I really appreciate you bringing to light something that we all deal with We might not be willing to admit it, but we do judge based on just little things. And having that ability to say, I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to find out this person's story and value them. That is just incredible.
Awesome.
Not looking at what's in it for me, but how can I serve in this? And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has absolutely been beyond what I could have ever asked for. And you being able to come and share is, I know, going to benefit so many people's lives and have an impact that will continue on in a ripple effect. So thank you very much.
I hope it does. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.